You're listening to another episode of the Coaster101 podcast, and let me be the first to welcome you to IAAPA week. I'm Andrew Stillwell, and, with such a big week in the industry, I couldn't talk about everything that is going to go on this week alone, so I had to bring in some reinforcements. So everybody, please welcome back to the podcast. I'm going to use friend in air quotes here, but friend of the podcast, Marcus from the Drunk Riders. Marcus, what's going on, buddy?
Let's go, baby. How you doing, Andrew? Miss your face, man.
Hey, miss you too. We were talking a little bit offline. You guys are killing it with your Buzzed Bars stumbles. I made it to one this year, had a really good time. So here's a free plug for Buzzed Bars Coaster Club. Check that out. Another free plug for the Drunk Riders podcast. Check that out as well. They're funnier than we are, but we're a little bit more serious. And sometimes you just need a little bit of yin to the yang, and it's all good.
There you go. That's all you need. Hey, there's plenty of variety out there.
That's right.
Some for everybody.
So I wanted to bring you on to talk IAAPA this week because obviously you and I, our history as friends actually dates back to IAAPA 2017, where we somehow ended up at or it might have been 2019, one of these years. I don't know.
2019, yeah. That was my first year.
They all run together, but you and I somehow ended up both at the Ride Entertainment Party at Fun Spot Orlando.
Yep.
And we bonded as coaster nerds do over the industry. And, you and I, we've been friends ever since. But, you've been to IAAPA a couple of times. For those who are listening, what's a typical IAAPA experience for Marcus / Coaster Force / the Drunk Riders? However you're credentialed as media, what's a typical IAAPA like for you?
So let me tell you this. There's two different ways to attack this bad boy. When I was with Coaster Force, I was strictly... let's go. Following the itinerary. What's the cool stuff? Go to every single one. Or even if it's not that cool, go to every single one. When I was with the podcast, we went to the cool stuff and just hung out with people. That was pretty much it. Networked, had fun. It was more of a fun. But I mean, no matter what, it was get there at opening and stay till close. 3 straight days, and the fourth day. Get there, do 1 or 2 cool things, and then kind of peace out. So either way, the show is an absolute blast. We've talked about it on the show every single time that I've gone, and last year when me and Mike went. And yeah, that show, no matter what you do or how much you do, absolute blast. Absolutely love it. And you get so much back end stuff that you would never, ever even think about or see if you don't go.
Exactly.
So it's one of those, you go once, you probably don't need to go again, but it's cool to keep going just to see the people that you know over the years and to see what changes are coming and the announcements, etc. But both of us are unfortunate to not be going this year.
I know.
It is what it is, but there's plenty of stuff going on. So
100%. And I mean, I know that, there are industry contacts out there who you've had on your show. We've had some of them on our show, not all of them. Jake from RMC, you're welcome anytime. But I do remember you and Mike, right?
Yep.
Yeah, you and Mike just kind of walked around the show floor last year handing out False Idol Brewery beers with your logo on them, which is the best gift you could probably give anybody after 3 days of talking at a trade show. So
yeah, nothing but positive reviews. So
you can't beat it. You really can't. I know I personally won't be there. I think Shane from our team will be there at some point during the week. So we hope we can get some interview content out of that for the podcast. But as this is going to come out on Monday, everything kind of really kicks off Tuesday as far as press announcements. I wanted to kind of go through the press schedule, get your thoughts on some of these new attractions. Obviously, a big thing for IAAPA is these kind of lead car, train reveals, all sorts of cool things that you're going to see all over social media this week. And it'll be retweeted from us again because we're not really there. But, first thing I got to talk about, the first press announcement, which is going to be 10:15 on Tuesday morning, is the Pipeline, the surf coaster ride vehicle, or it's take that back. It's not even a ride vehicle reveal. It is the latest details about Pipeline, which is the world's first surf coaster. And Marcus, I don't know about you. I still am not ready to believe the hype of the second generation stand-up.
My amount of caring for this coaster is so below zero, it could be frozen. In fact, it could be frozen into another version of Icebreaker, and then we could ride that again next to Icebreaker, and I'd be more excited to do that than the surf coaster.
What is it about the surf coaster that is just kind of meh for you? I mean, I'm excited. Obviously, I love being a big B&M fanboy. Again, I don't know how I feel about these trains, but what is it that you're just kind of like about?
You just said it. The layout's okay. It looks like you could do a lot, but I'm not sold yet on these trains. I don't believe that what we're going to get is going to be as interesting or as dynamic as what we got with the typical stand-up train. So, and with the floating aspect of it, I'll go in with a very open mindset, going, "Hey, all right, let's see how this bad boy rides." But I am, we'll see.
Okay. Well, I haven't been on Icebreaker yet, so I'm kind of trying to hold off my trip to SeaWorld until after the surf coaster opens. Again, that's a pricey, like $90 ticket to go ride one coaster, and I think that's part of the reason I didn't ride Iron Gwazi when I was in Tampa earlier this year. But it remains to be seen, and they're very careful with their wording here. They're revealing the latest details, and this is a coaster that's obviously they've broken ground. It's under construction.
Yep.
And but yeah, I don't think we have a actual lead car reveal or anything like that. Maybe they surprise us. Who knows? But the people at IAAPA, there's always something up their sleeve. But following the surf coaster, we're going to head over to the Vekoma booth. And we're getting the adventure vehicle, which that is the best way I've ever heard a coaster's train described, for the largest single attraction in the park history, Big Bear Mountain. And I remember when Big Bear Mountain was announced, enthusiasts hated it because we're enthusiasts, we're entitled. And it's like, why is Dollywood building a family coaster when their target demographic is families? I don't understand.
So you will find the exact opposite from our entire our podcast for sure.
Yeah.
Because one, the name legendary Big Bear Mountain, get out of here.
Yes.
And then our argument, of course, was obviously this is exactly what they should have done because it fits what they should be doing. They have several big throw coasters, but their demo was missing a solid. Well, I don't know if it's even missing. They just made their middle coasters better, right? Because Fire Chaser it's already great. Love Fire Chaser. The is that a Vekoma or Zamperla Flyer? The Flyer? What?
Yeah, exactly.
Either way, I mean, heck, you can count Wild Eagles kind of middle of the ground, not as thrilling as the other big B&M Flyers, but or wing coasters, excuse me, but. This is exactly what they needed. When I saw this, I was like, you know what? Cool. Let's just see what it rides like. Because I've been on a number of these before and not a number of these types of rides before, and they're fun. They don't blow you away. I'm not looking for a lightning rod, I'm not looking for, wildfire, something crazy like that. And you know what? Give me just a middle ride here. It'll fit the demo. It'll bring people into the gates. It'll give them more money, which means, guess what? Next time they need a big boy, we'll be here for it. So
this is true. And, again, I'm looking at this ride vehicle now. It kind of has this safari Jeep type motif. We'll see, obviously, the big reveal on Tuesday. But I'm excited for this coaster. I'm a lot like you guys. I think this coaster fits Dollywood's park demographic so well. And it is, again, their biggest, what have they said? The largest single attraction. I think it's long. It's, again, like you said, not a lightning rod, but not every roller coaster has to be lightning rod because you want something that will be open a consistent amount of time. Yeah. Anyway.
And it really rounds off their area too, because it really kind of like bookends that side of the park.
Right.
Which I haven't been to Dollywood in a couple of years, but I can't wait to go back for not only for their invert, but for this bad boy after it opens.
I love it. Cinnamon Bread Stumble 2023.
Let's go.
Sorry, Sorry.
You
Sorry.
didn't hear that.
Stay tuned. Please stand by. Following that, we got Triotech. Triotech obviously does a ton of really good work. They're doing something with Lot World, which is over in Europe, and it's a park I know next to nothing about. And by next to nothing, I mean actually nothing. But they are announcing a brand new custom attraction featuring a well-known global IP. And doing some research on Lot World. I've probably not even pronounced that correctly.
So I think my biggest question is: do you actually know where Lot World is?
Wikipedia tells me it is in South Korea.
Yeah. So you're you're a little wrong there, boss man.
Yeah,
You're all right. You're all right. Listen, I appreciate you. You're good. And we were chatting pre-show. Every single year for IAAPA, Triotech does something just amazing.
Yes.
Their booth is always incredible. I love their booth every single time.
They always have a happy hour too.
Every time. That's where I met several of the guys from In the Loop. Actually, was at I think the 2020s or 2019s Triotech get together. So that was cool. Thank you, Triotech.
Yes,
but also they got sweet merch they always give out there. But whatever it is, I know Triotech's going to blow it up because it's always great from Triotech. I have not seen something that has not been amazing from Triotech. Just facts.
100%. And I'm looking right now. I'm trying to see if they've got any, major global IP in their park, and I'm really not seeing anything. So it could be anything. And I'm excited to see what this is. Very excited. I remember talking to Triotech in 2019 when they were just getting ready to kind of unveil the Knott's Berry Tales return to the fair. Yeah. And everything I have not ridden that yet, but everything I've heard, it's great. Like you said, Marcus, Triotech does amazing work. Very excited to see what they're doing for Lot World in South Korea. Again, you learn something new every day. Thank you for just putting the entitled American enthusiast right on my forehead, and I'm just it's going to be great.
Yep.
Then over at the Intamin booth, Intamin, obviously another consistently really good booth with really good ride reveals, things like that. But they're talking with SeaWorld Parks. So this will be our second SeaWorld announcement of the day. There are 3 new, I'm going to use coasters in air quotes here. We've got 2 legitimate coasters and then whatever they're calling a flume coaster at SeaWorld San Antonio. Yep. And they're going to be revealing the ride car for Arctic Rescue, which is this what they are calling a straddle coaster. I believe is their preferred nomenclature, but Dark Coaster, Arctic Rescue, and the Flume Coaster, whose name I've already forgotten, and it's not on RCDB. But what are you excited for with these? Other than the credit, just to ride it for the credit. Because I know that's your answer as an enthusiast, but like with these new kind of family friendly coasters coming to Busch Gardens Williamsburg and SeaWorld San Diego, what makes you excited for these rides, if anything?
Nothing, actually. To be honest, the flume ride most excited for because you've never seen it before.
Right.
The launched flume, because we were just we with Buzz Bars, we just went to SeaWorld San Antonio, and that park, and with Journey to Atlantis, always being closed, it needs an actual reliable water ride there. Yeah, and its positioning in the back left corner of the park is great to draw people to there, and get more people kind of going from Steel Eel back to their invert back to, how do I forget his name? It's okay.
Great White.
There it is. Great sign, by the way. I love Great White sign. But in that corner, that is, because Dark Coaster and Arctic Rescue don't really pop off the page, but a launched flume, yeah, that kind of pops a little bit. And that's definitely got me the most excited. Yeah, plus ones are plus ones, but when you get something, a unique experience, I'm here for it. Flume Coaster, I forget the actual name too, but the Flume water ride really, really piques my interest. So we'll see how that bad boy pans out.
I got to Google this because there's somebody listening right now who's yelling at their car radio. Flume Coaster. Catapult Falls.
There it is.
there,
Worst part, I just saw the name and I completely forgot.
I was not going to pull that out of anywhere.
No, yeah, no, that'd have been gone.
I'm a diehard Busch Gardens Williamsburg fan. I mean, I've been going to that park like for 20 years at this point, and I remember when Dark Castle first opened, and you had to basically stay at the adjacent resort next door to kind of not have to wait in line. This is like pre-quick queue, pre-anything, and it was like, oh, you're staying at Kingsmill, you get to cut the line. So I loved Dark Castle, and I was really sad to see it go. I think the guys over at Falcon's Creative Group and Oceaneering, they kind of created a Spider-Man light a little bit with that attraction, and I appreciated it for what it was. Very sad to see it go. Mm-hmm. But I do appreciate that the park is kind of leaning back into its history a little bit with the theming and the name. Obviously, Dark Coaster, Dark Castle. Outside, there is a drink stand called Bar Castle, which I don't know if you're aware of, which is brilliantly named.
I was unaware, but awesome.
Yes. So I think I am very excited for Dark Coaster. There's some probably weird German way to pronounce that, but I'm very excited for Dark Coaster. I think, again, it kind of gives that lower mid-tier family coaster that's, not quite for Bolton, but is maybe half step behind like Invader, but is a half step above like Air Grover, Grover's Alpine. Let's say Grover's Alpine Express, because we're not going to say Gropers.
Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the Drug Riders.
Exactly. But I think it kind of gives that park just a coaster that is kind of that half step above the Grover Kiddie coaster, that I think if it's got the capacity, I think could be a good home run hit for that park. And I think gives it 10 coasters now, which is crazy.
Yep. And I think all of us were a little sad to see Dark Coaster go, because that was actually a pretty fun ride, but here's hoping for them to review it. My only concern about that bad boy is capacity. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, they built Tempesto, and Tempesto is capacity's not great there either. So it'll be fun.
You're not wrong.
But we've got a series of announcements. They've got back-to-back, and then they've got one to close the day from a friend of our show, an acquaintance of your show, because you were so reluctant to give him friend of the podcast status, Adam Sandy and Zamperla. They are unveiling their new LSM Lightning Train for the coaster that was just announced for the Playland Park at P&E. I've seen differing things on the internet about this. I've heard it's a refurbished Intamin coaster. Have you heard this?
Yeah, funny enough, so it dropped while we were at our Stumble event last weekend, and we had a number of guys, Coast of Culture, Gary, a couple Canadians came down, and they were talking about this coaster, and I was like, oh, wow, what's going on? And the Sandy Man never, obviously, did not tell us anything about it. But I haven't confirmed anything, because I haven't really looked too far into it, because I don't know when I'm ever going to go that part of the country. But I've heard a little bit of everything about it. Yeah. So I still need to even look at what it is, because I haven't looked at it since the Stumble. But if it's a launched ride for that part of the world, good. Because Zampi has been really trying to pop those things off, and it's good for Zamperla. Refurbished or not, it's out there. So
exactly. And it is the fastest launch coaster in Canada. I did get that because he did tell us about it when he came on our show. So just I want to drop that mic on you a little bit. There. Hey, yeah. These are the benefits of getting guests 2 weeks after you have them. They'll tell us more stuff.
We'll loosen them up. You knock them out. I like it.
That's exactly. But between the two of us, we've got a really cohesive Zamperla portfolio. That's for sure.
Do. Yeah.
But on the subject of that, we've got one of your home parks, Cedar Point. Ugh. They're also getting a little bit of a Zamperla creation, a custom twister coaster.
Yep.
And this is the mouse, the wild mouse, and the one cheese car. Yep. They're unveiling the new spinning car for Zamperla at the Zamperla booth as well, in addition to the Lightning Train. Okay, you're a Cedar Point semi-local. We'll call you semi-local. I have a general idea of Ohio geography, but I don't know.
Hour and a half away. We're good.
Okay,
yeah,
it's what I used to be to Carowinds a little bit more.
Yes.
So I want the Ohio enthusiast opinion.
So
were you excited that A, Cedar Point was adding a new roller coaster, but B, when they said it was a new roller coaster, that it was a Zamperla Wild Mouse?
So they, ever since they got rid of Wildcat, and so I as you know, but I don't know if any of your listeners know, I have 3 kids.
Yes.
11, 9, and 7. So I'm 35, by the way, before everybody said something. Jeez. They're good. We're good. Shut up. And I made this argument on the show, and I got a little pushback from my boys and from actually others in our Discord. Just, I felt this was exactly what Cedar Point needed. Mm-hmm. Because again, with kids, they have a gigantic gap between 42 and 48 inches.
Right.
There's nothing there. There's 2 kiddie rides, and then there's Millennium Force. Like, that's the gap in there. There's no medium ground. And if you have kids, basically kids from like 5 to 9. My oldest daughter rode that when she was 9, and she was 48 and a half inches tall. Like, so 5 to 9 is a gigantic demographic you're losing out on. If they go there and they want to ride roller coasters, it's the capital of the world, right? Roller coast. Mm-hmm. And they can't ride anything. These kids are looking up at these things and going, I didn't take my kids there for years because they couldn't ride anything.
Right.
And I wouldn't, me and the wife wouldn't want to go with the kids because they wouldn't want to. The lines, remove the lines from even being a factor because they've had longer lines, and that's a whole different saga. But the fact that they couldn't really do that much, and being somebody who's from Ohio, I'd rather go to Kennywood, Kings Island's acclaimed kiddie areas. Heck, even drive over to Indiana Beach, Waldameer, all these other parks that have kiddie zones with water parks that are not extra, that the lines aren't that crazy, that it's worth it to go with kids. And I think this is perfect. This is exactly what they needed to do.
I agree. And again, I think this we've talked with Tony Clark and we've talked with Adam on the show. And I think, again, agree that this kind of family coaster demographic is one they're missing. I'm looking at the RCDB list here. You've got, Gemini, you've got Iron Dragon, you've got Blue Streak, and you've got like Cedar Creek Mine Ride. Everything else is either, a kiddie coaster, which is Wilderness Run, or Woodstock Express. And then anything else is like the extreme category, which is nuts.
Yep. And all of those, that's the thing. All of those are 48 inches. None of them are 46, even though some should be.
Right.
Gemini, Iron Dragon, some of those are definitely 46, maybe even 44 if you want to drop down to 42 with Iron Dragon. Mm-hmm. Could definitely be. But they bumped everything up for safety, for, hey, it's their prerogative, but it left a gap. And it's a tough gap. Yes. So
we do live in a little bit of a litigious society. I will say this, but I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think this family gap. I'm excited to kind of see these mouse coasters. I'm wondering if Zamperla will unveil the mouse coaster or the one cheese themed train, but we will. We'll see. And it does say here, though, it has a side door for easier ADA guest access, which is good.
Yes.
I'm here for inclusivity when it comes to riding roller coasters, and I feel like they should be more accessible to everybody. Yep. Speaking of roller coasters that aren't always accessible to everyone, especially those of larger size, Hershey Park and our good buddies at RMC, Jake, call us anytime. They are unveiling a design first for Hershey Park, which is the custom themed coaster train for Wildcat's Revenge, the RMC conversion, which is currently under construction in Hershey, Pennsylvania. And I kind of fell off a little bit with the announcements here. I knew Wildcat was closing. Obviously, everything was happening with RMC. There's no like new train or anything like this. This is just an RMC conversion. It happens to be the first one at Hershey Park.
Yep.
So very excited to ride that. Their trains. I feel like their open air kind of restraints and the inability to hang on to literally anything is a definite win for them.
Yep.
And this is definitely a win for Hershey Park. It's going to get me there eventually. This is a park I've threatened to go to for, I think, 5 years at this point.
I've still never been. Really?
I know.
Wow, dude. Okay.
Yes, it's an embarrassing blind spot. It's Hershey Park, Silver Dollar City, most of the parks in Texas. I mean, I'm coming up. I'm nowhere near the coaster count, the esteemed coaster count of the Drunk Riders crew. But I'm coming up on 300 with no Hershey Park, no Silver Dollar City, no Texas, no Magic Mountain.
You've got a lot. You got a lot of good ones there. A lot of ones waiting for you.
I know. So Hershey Park, I'm very excited to get up there and ride this when it opens, assuming I can get back down to fighting shape so I can fit in it. But and then after that, our good buddies Extreme Engineering, pioneers of the Cloud Coaster, they're announcing 3 new coaster projects for 2023, including, I believe, their own version of a surf coaster, which to me simulates more of a surfing motion than the SeaWorld surf coaster does. You actually kind of stand on this overhead rail and you stand on a board underneath and you kind of ride it actually in a surfing position. So I'm excited for that. The guys at Extreme Engineering always are kind of coming up, and I think COVID maybe hurt them a little bit as far as their timelines, because I'm looking at RCDB right now and they've got 4 coasters. Again, obviously there's 3 more coming, but they've got Rocky Top Glider, which is their newest that's been announced, Wilderness at the Smokies and the Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Sevierville area. So, hey, Marcus, Cinnamon Bread Stumble, we're going to Rocky Top Glider.
Oh, let's go, baby.
So, I think, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on these cloud coasters? Obviously, they're very limited in scope right now. They're in Canada, they're in Qatar, they're in Vietnam. Presumably you have not ridden one of these.
Yeah, definitely not. I've seen it. I mean, cool concept. I'll see it when they do something a little bit bigger, a little bit closer to home. Yep. And even with the Rocky Top Glider, I'm probably not going to go out of my way. I've never been a man to just go out of my way to try to go ride a ride like that.
That's fair.
But looks cool, but it is what it is. It's good for them though. I like something different.
Absolutely. And again, I mentioned them. They've always been super nice to us, which is always, that's how you get mentioned on our podcast. You're nice to us. You interact with us. You mention us in your press announcements. We're going to talk about you on our podcast. It's all good. So just a message to Extreme Engineering. Bring one of these to the East Coast of the United States. We'll maybe get there. I'd certainly like to. I might go out of my way. I don't know. I can't speak for Marcus. I'm going to go out of my way, though. Also, coming up after that, Premier is announcing a unique partnership with a, quote, industry legend to reintroduce a legacy attraction on a grander scale. So what do you think this could be?
So,
do you have any idea?
No idea. I have thoughts of it could range to a former coaster type that used to be out there to absolutely nothing that people will forget about the next day of IAAPA. So it could be either or. It could be the hit of the show, or it could be absolutely nothing. Questions are abound because industry legend can go in literally every direction. So you just don't know. With Premier, they cover a wide range of stuff. So it's hard
not
to really
just coasters with them.
Yeah, it is not. It is not. Just like Zamperla. He's like, you go with Zamperla. It's like if Zamperla's an industry legend, you'd be like, oh, well,
literally
the same way.
Anything.
Exactly. So I'm interested, but I don't know. I'm hoping for the best, preparing for the worst.
Yes, and I feel like they put the premiere, forgive the pun there, the premiere announcements on the first day of the show, because that is your kind of your big day for walking around and press events and things like that. So maybe this is big, but we'll definitely see. I've got my speculation. I'm going to talk about it here shortly, but we'll get into it. But a couple more announcements before we get in, just kind of general rumors real quick. Great Coasters International is unveiling the lead car of the new 2 Zambezi 2 Zinger coaster. Or what is it? I mean,
it's just They just call it Zambizi Zinger. Yeah, I'm
I know
pretty sure.
they do. They should have done it with twos instead of the Z's.
Twos and Z's. Yeah, that makes sense.
But that was a bad Too Fast, Too Furious pun.
You're okay.
That's GCI's new train, right? The Infinity Flyer that kind of Skyline worked on. That's right. So I'm excited I honestly haven't been to Worlds of Fun in several years, and I think this might get me back out there at some point, because I'm very excited to kind of see this Titan track, this new train, all of this in action. And again, I'm a sucker for this kind of a nod to the past, kind of a throwback, new old IP reborn. I think GCI and Skyline and Worlds of Fun, I think this might be my sleeper hit of the entire 2023, believe it or not.
I have my hopes. It looks like it could really throw out some really good airtime. It's going to depend on a couple of different factors, but the uniqueness of it is going to make it pop over some other rides that may be better than it, simply because of kind of what it does and how it does. That lift hill is still cool as hell. So
it is so sick with the Titan track. It's going to be really cool, and everyone who's kind of sleeping on it, just go to Worlds of Fun. It's going to be a good time.
Yep.
And then the final announcement of day one, we're back to our good buddy, the Sandy Man. And the Sandy Man can, because he sells coasters with love and makes amusement parks good. Thank you for the dumb pun again. But they're unveiling the ride vehicle for their next generation water ride, Dragon Falls, their Super Flume, and then the intertwined ride experience featuring Flying Viking. So I think we're just getting the ride vehicle for Dragon Falls, but yep. I do like what Zamperla is doing kind of with these intertwined rides. I think putting everything on one footprint, and it's like you're in Roller Coaster Tycoon all over again, just building loops and things. And I've never been to Adventureland. That's another park I've never been to, but this is again exciting to kind of see Zamperla back in the coaster game, as it were.
Yeah, so. and having been there this year, I could say one sleeper park. It's a fun park. Yeah, and Dragon Slayer, just the best. Oh man, I can't even talk. But rides there are really good. You're not going to be disappointed when you're leaving Adventureland, I'll tell you that. Maybe with your wallet a little bit, because you will spend a lot of extra money on the good food and beer they got there. And the park's a little bit more expensive than I liked, but with this new combo here, I think it'll definitely make it a little more worthwhile, even though just happened to visit this year for the first time. So
yeah, well now you got to go back. Plus they got Monster with that KCL light package.
Yep,
I still haven't seen that in person. And Andy Verslice is like, yeah, we're doing this, and I know he's been on your show a handful of times.
Yep,
we've interviewed him on our site. And I still have yet to see any of his lighting projects in person, with the exception of the Sky Coaster at that aforementioned Ride Entertainment event 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So, it's great. And then there's a couple more days of announcements. There's a lot of things, water parks, Poland water parks, whitewater. There's some DOF robotics, things like that, safety, blah, 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 stuff that, as roller coaster enthusiasts, we don't really get too deep in the weeds on. But the last announcement of IAAPA, they don't typically do a lot of announcements on Fridays, if I remember correctly.
You are correct, yep.
So Friday, we're going back to Vekoma, and we're talking Tilt Coaster 2.0, which is coming to Codaland. First tilt coaster in the United States. We've all seen that video that your weird aunt sends you on Facebook. That's like, oh my God, would you ride this? But it's coming to Codaland. And I don't even know. Palindrome is still in pieces in their parking lot, right?
So the reason we went to Texas for our stumble was to go there. You had to catch up on a few things, but was to go to Codaland. And yeah, they're going super slow.
Okay.
So...
Well, a tilt coaster will open at Codaland at Circuit of the Americas, the IndyCar Formula One type racetrack. They've got a whole big entertainment complex there. Somebody commented on our article saying their MLS stadium was small because it was built for a USL team who became MLS.
Huh.
whatever. I'm sorry, I've never been to Texas. It's for an amusement park. So come after me if you want to. But they'll eventually get Palindrome. They'll eventually get Circuit Breaker. So I'm excited for these announcements. But stay tuned this week for a lot of IAAPA coverage. Again, if Twitter still exists by the end of the week, I'm sure there will be a lot of great images and things going on. But before I wrap this up, Marcus, I want to talk a little bit about some teases that might drop this week kind of in conjunction with IAAPA, because typically it is a manufacturer showcase.
Yep.
But sometimes parks can get in on the fun too. And I want to go to Kennywood, and they've put something on Facebook that says calling all Ginzers, which I believe is Pittsburgh slang for y'all. Kenny needs your help to defend the city from invaders, but you're going to need a special spacecraft. Join us on November 15th for the reveal of your new intergalactic vehicle, the first of its kind in the United States. So let's go back to Premier Rides for a second, because I think I just was able to put 2 and 2 together. I think I got that date is right? That's Tuesday. That's Premier Rides.
Yep.
And Premier just did a lot of refurbishment work with Kennywood for their Kangaroo. The Kangaroo was retired, and Premier helped them kind of bring back to life.
Yep.
I'm now suddenly wondering if this partnership with the industry legend, if Kennywood, by all intents, could be considered an industry legend, a term that could go anywhere. I'm wondering if Premier has come up with some sort of new ride vehicle for something at Kennywood. And I know there's theming of a new, alien themed area of the park, whatever that could be. But it's part of their 125th anniversary. Again, that could definitely be industry legend criteria, but
yep, definitely.
I'm wondering if this Kennywood announcement is in conjunction with Premier Ride's announcement. So that's my thought.
That could very much well be the case. And as we said, Premier is not just a coaster manufacturer. They do a lot. So, the industry legends can go in all different shapes and sizes. So we'll see.
Yes. And I was looking at this video, Ginzers Unite. I think it just says the same thing I just said, but really cool alien themed video. I'm still mad that kind of COVID killed Steelers country, because I think that would have been a really cool area. Anyway,
Sorry.
Go Browns or whatever.
Yeah. Not really. They're terrible.
Okay. And then Lagoon obviously is dropping some hints on social media. They will also announce something, it looks like, this week. I believe it is the long-awaited Primordial, which has been under construction for God knows how
30,
long.
40 years, I think.
Yeah, it's Lagoon opened in whatever year, and they started construction on Primordial the next day. It is still not done, but will still open before Tron at Walt Disney World. So that's great. So I think Primordial is going to happen based on the one photo I'm seeing here on RCDB. It kind of appears to be this dark ride coaster hybrid, but they've been working on it for a long, long time. So
more than a long time, it feels like anymore. So
yeah,
we'll see. I went in 2020 of our first visit to Lagoon, and park's great, rides are great, but seeing that thing just sitting off in the distance, disappointing, because it looks like it could be really cool.
Right. Okay. I mean, that's the last thing before we wrap this up. There is one other manufacturer. They don't have a press event, but their Facebook header they changed last week to "What's new at Chance Rides," has their IAAPA booth number, and says "Stop by for the big reveal." And I know there's really no teaser here. It just says "Don't miss this." But what do you think Chance Rides could have up their sleeve, Marcus?
I'm hoping something. Well, as always, I hope something coaster related, but I'm thinking, to be honest, given the landscape of the flat ride environment recently, I'm hoping it's a big flat ride. Something new that they haven't seen before, that they're ready to pop off, because given the announcements that we've seen from other manufacturers recently and how some of these other big boys are really starting to release some big things, and Chance, they are kind of, them and Zamperla are kind of corner the market on smaller flat rides. With Zamperla starting to release bigger and bigger stuff, I could see them trying to outdo their competitors with a big old flat ride. Yeah, that's why it's kind of buried a little bit, but it's enough to say, hey, wait a minute, this is pretty cool. All right, let me. When are you dropping this thing out? Where's this thing going?
Exactly, and I mean there is the. In the kind of the back of our minds, there is this Mattel Adventure Park that's sometime going to open in Arizona.
Yep.
They got that GTX coaster with it, 3 inversions on it. So maybe they're talking about that. Maybe it'll be a ride vehicle for that, but who knows? I think there's a chance it could be anything. So, oh boy. Yeah. Well, hey. Bad puns aside, obviously going to be a great week for IAAPA, so stay tuned to Coaster 101, but also stay tuned to the Drunk Riders socials. So, Marcus, where can the people find everything you guys have going on in the Drunk Riders and Buzz Bars world?
The big ones, we're just at the Drunk Riders everywhere. Podcasts can be found everywhere, just like our friends here at C101. And then, of course, Buzz Bars, Coaster Club at Buzz Bars everywhere as well. Drunk Riders re-release weekly, and our stumbles for 2021 are 2022, are over, but we have our first stumble of 2023 in February. So signups are already out there, so if you guys want to join us in LA, you're always welcome.
Well, if I didn't have an Orlando trip already planned, I got to go ride Velocicoaster. I haven't done that yet either.
Wow. Oh man.
Yeah, everything is terrible for me sometimes when it comes to coaster riding, but it's going to be fine.
Yep, you're good. You're good. You'll be there.
I'll get on I'll be at your stumble in spirit, and then I'll maybe you slide me the list, and I'll try and figure out a way to make my way to another one of those.
I got you. I can. Shh. Just please stand by.
All right. I love it. Awesome. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Coaster 101 podcast. Like Marcus mentioned, you can find us on social media at Coaster 101, literally everywhere, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We even have a LinkedIn page, which is very oddly professional of us to do. We also have a website, coaster101.com. That will be your place to be for any late-breaking IAAPA news that you prefer to read in written word, because according to Marcus and other people in the Drunk Riders, nobody reads. But if you want to read, coaster101.com. We are selling coasters to benefit Give Kids the World. 100% of those 100% of the proceeds for those calendars goes to Give Kids the World. So head to c101.co/23calendar. That's 23 calendar to check that out. We also have our TeePublic shop, c101.co/TeePublic. If you're listening, can hear the sound of mine and Marcus's voice, go to iTunes or Spotify, find the review capabilities, either a 5-star review on Spotify or a review and 5 stars on iTunes. Do that for Coaster 101. Do it for the Drunk Riders too.
There you go.
I mean, they've got a bigger audience than we do, so I don't have to tell you. I don't have to tell you to review their show, but. Go. If you've enjoyed this podcast, go give us 5 stars. Go give them 5 stars. Go listen to their episodes, and you can see just the similarities, but the also definite differences between both shows. You know what? We have a good time though. There's a lovely banter here, and I think the cool thing about this coaster community is, we can reach out to one another and, hey, I need somebody on my show this week. And maybe the Drunk Riders will have me back on sometime in the future. We'll see.
Oh, you definitely, baby. You know it.
Yes, that's how you invite yourself on a podcast, folks. But thanks, as always, to Justin Mabry of JM Music Design for our theme music, and we will talk to y'all again soon. Happy IAAPA.
See ya.
Bye.